But first, the new big lie. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, when you can't defend your record or show how your policies are going to lead to more peace, more prosperity, what are you left with? Lies, phony outrage, and hoaxes. And right through the home stretch of this campaign, that's all Kamala Harris is offering to voters. Now, Trump rightly tags Liz Cheney, the future Pentagon chief if Kamala wins, as being a war zealot, and made an offhand comment about how easy it is to send other people off to fight your wars.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
Now, everyone knows what Trump meant, and it was clear. It wasn't saying she should be executed or put before a firing squad. It's a lot of what they used to say about George W. Bush and other Republicans who hadn't been in combat. But this didn't stop Kamala's media troops to snap into action, which is what they did, to advance a lie that Trump was literally calling for violence.
He has increased his violent rhetoric. Anyone who wants to be president of the United States who uses that kind of violent rhetoric is clearly disqualified and unqualified to be president.
Unqualified to be president? Those words came out of her mouth? Coming from a woman who never won a single primary. That's why she wants people disqualified. She doesn't want to give you a choice. And a woman who was such a bad boss that she couldn't keep her staff, which she lost 90% of them, and who can't answer basic policy questions to this night. She can't do it. Oh, but he's unqualified? That's funny. Now, with the whole election on the line, the decision to double down on emphasizing the importance of Liz Cheney to a future Harris administration, it strikes me as very risky. What happened to all the joy? So instead of running on an optimistic, issues-based campaign, Harris again has decided to embrace another vicious lie to scare voters, mostly women. That's how little she thinks of you. She knows it's all a lie. And yet Kamala Harris, who's supposedly qualified to be president, is repeating it anyway. Now, Trump obviously clarified his obvious intent about Cheney earlier today. And when campaigning in Dearborn, Michigan, he added this.
She's a war hawk. She kills people. She wanted to, even in my administration, she was pushing that we go to war with everybody. And I said, if you ever gave her a rifle and let her do the fighting, if you ever do that, she wouldn't be doing too well, I will tell you right now. If she had to face the consequences of battle, she wouldn't be doing it. So it's easy for her to talk, but she wouldn't be doing it.
Now, as for the Muslim leaders who have endorsed Trump, they saw this for what it was, like the mayor of Hamtramck, Michigan.
The top military advisor of Kamala Harris is Liz Cheney, the bloodthirsty person who advocates for more wars in the Middle East. President Trump keeps attacking the pro-war radicals, those war hawks, who are the top military advisor of Kamala Harris.
Smart people, voters with common sense, are onto the Democrats' game. They're frightening women voters, and they're lying about Trump. Calling him Hitler is their only hope now of avoiding voter wrath on something that really matters, which is the economy, especially after today's absolute nightmare of a jobs report. 113,000 jobs were expected, but only 12,000 jobs were added. We lost 46,000 manufacturing jobs, a lot of that from Boeing, 28,000 private payroll jobs. But look at it this way, kids, at least the bureaucracy grew. What would we do without more red tape? So without government jobs, when you analyze this, we'd have had a negative job growth report. None. Zero. Negative. So how does Kamala explain this? Answer, she can't. She doesn't.
We had a jobs report came out today, showed that we've actually had a revision downward of the number of jobs created. Actually, the new jobs report is only 10% of the number of jobs they expected to be created this month. And that's a problem for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. He should be talking about that.
But the media doesn't want to talk about that. And they won't talk about it over in the Harris campaign because, remember, she thinks, and she's told us, that they made all the right calls.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
And that's still my favorite answer ever. So now they've spent, printed, and borrowed $6.8 trillion. And all they got for it was a declining jobs market, declining hourly rate wages, and fat government payrolls. So my friends, they've been lying all along.
Our blueprint together for what America can be. This is Bidenomics. Bidenomics is working. It's working.
We are very proud of Bidenomics.
Lies, lies, and more lies. Just like the border is secure, there's no migrant crisis, just like inflation is transitory, don't worry about it. And of course, let's not forget, Ukraine is making gains. Remember last summer, wasn't that supposed to happen? All of it was untrue. Our people are hurting financially. Women and girls are trafficked at our border. Americans are victims of migrant crime. And in Ukraine, hundreds of thousands are dead. We don't even know how many. But lies, emphatically repeated enough times, look, they can become true to voters, especially people who are busy with their lives. Maybe they're just starting to pay attention to the election. That is what Kamala's team is hoping for tonight. And it's the same reason that she repeats the Charlottesville very fine people on both sides hoax. It's why she sticks to the suckers and losers hoax. It's why she's so cynical that she stuck with the Russia collusion, the dirty dossier hoax for so long. And so it makes perfect sense that in this long, tedious continuum of smears, they end this campaign with another lie, and it's a big one, and phony outrage over poor Liz Cheney. Is this a smart political decision? It's certainly insulting the intelligence of the voters. But given where their base is on the war issues, and look, on the Cheneys personally, they wanted to put Dick Cheney in, the International War Crimes Tribunal, for goodness sakes. This strikes me as a bizarre strategy to end this with. So now Americans face a stark choice. Remember Reagan in 1964 called it a time for choosing. And tonight the question is, will they choose Kamala and reward her record of decline and her campaign of lies and hoaxes and phony outrage, or will the voters choose Trump and a proven track record of success, peace, and prosperity for all the people? That's the choice, and that's the angle.
Democrats are on the lookout for a 6-foot-tall, 81-year-old who escaped the White House earlier today. We're told he sounds and looks something like this.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Biden doesn't have a laptop this time, but he did manage to get all the way to Pennsylvania, and he somehow found a stage.
Remember the last guy when he was president, he said we have every week, we're going to have infrastructure week.
After that, he tried to give a woman an award, dropped it, and then he started chewing on it. How he's still allowed to be near a camera is a mystery. Democrats thought Biden was strapped to a gurney after he ate baby feet. You'd think after derailing Kamala's closing speech with that garbage grenade, he'd want to lay low, sit the next one out. Snacking on babies with Dr. Jill in a panda suit. The Democrats keep trying to bench Biden, but he keeps running out onto the field naked. Biden's insiders say it's the World Series for politics, and he wants to play in it now. And he sees Philly and Scranton as his home field, where he thinks he's beloved. So he made a mad dash to Philly today, but Democrats aren't too happy he's in town. Quote, the appreciation from the Democratic base is still there, but the need for him to show up is not. At this point, it is really all about Kamala Harris, and she needs separation from Biden, is what one Democrat says. The speeches have to be inspiring, and Obama and Clinton are better suited for that task than the president. That stings. And Obama's speechwriter just went on CNN moments ago and told Joe his time's up.
Should Biden even be going out on the trail for Harris at this point, or is he just like too much of a risk?
I mean, if I was Joe Biden, and I knew, look, his legacy obviously is at stake in this election, and he is the president of the United States, got a lot of work to do as president, I would probably look at the numbers, I would look at the race and say, I'm going to focus on being president over the next couple of days. And that's probably the best, that's the best thing he can do for not just the Harris campaign, but himself and his legacy.
Obama's guys are saying, nice presidential library you got over there, Joe. Be a shame if something happened to it. Next time you think about leaving the White House, think about your legacy. They're not afraid to put him in Walter Reed for the weekend. Hunter's going to need a new job where he doesn't have to pee in a cup, and the Sugar Brothers tapped out. So after this week, Democrats can't even stomach seeing Biden on the trail again. We're just learning that they confiscated his phone. He had a bunch of campaign calls scheduled yesterday, and they canceled all of them. They just told Joe, you know, the reception's spotty. Try again tomorrow, and then Joe forgot. So they've taken away his laptop and his phone. The whole White House is angry at the big guy, even the White House stenographers.
They are now as mad as you will ever hear a stenographer on the record that White House officials working for President Biden tried to change the meaning of their transcript. So it sounded like the president on that Zoom with Voto Latino was just criticizing a comedian instead of all Trump supporters.
So after Biden called Americans garbage, they forced the White House stenographers to rewrite the transcripts. And the stenographers are like, yo, you guys got to be kidding me. This is a violation of the Presidential Records Act. That's what you raided Trump's house over. And Biden's guys said, just do it. So they did it. Kamala can't even believe it. Obama's fighting with Biden. The White House is strong-arming librarians. And her VP pick just called the world's richest man gay.
If you're a billionaire, Elon Musk, for example, say, that guy got it. Michigan knows that word. Look, that dude got a tax cut.
Tim Walz is calling the other guy gay? What is going on here? He should be the... Never mind. Obama and Pelosi both said Walz was a poor pick, that Kamala should have gone with Shapiro. And it looks like Harris is having second thoughts because she's cheating on Tim Walz right in front of everyone.
This election, it's bigger than us. It's about the future. Do you want more chaos? Or like me, are you ready for some common sense? That's why I'm with Kamala.
This would be like Trump cutting an ad with Doug Burgum. You can't cheat on your VP. This isn't wife swap. Did Tim get cooed? I get it. Pennsylvania's do or die. You expect it to be all hands on deck there. So why are they sending Bill Clinton to New Hampshire? When did New Hampshire become a battleground? Biden was just in New Hampshire. Remember, that's where he said they had to lock Trump up? The last time a Democrat lost New Hampshire was 24 years ago. And now Real Clear Politics is saying New Hampshire's a toss-up. If Trump wins New Hampshire and he hasn't even campaigned there, it's going to be a big night. And Bubba's got, 9 lives? He said Trump's economy was better than Kamala's, and he said Lake and Raleigh would still be alive if the border czar had done her job. The Harris campaign must be really needy to roll the dice and let Bill loose again. But Bill knows better than anyone. It's the economy, stupid.
Some of them are Republicans by DNA. Some of them voted for Trump in 2016, Biden in 2020, and have told us because of Biden's policies, because of inflation, the cost of living, they're going back to Trump.
The economy is still the top issue. And today's news, not going to help Harris.
The big jobs report, and the prophecy came true. Jobs light, 12,000 in non-farm payroll. That is the lightest going back to December of 2020.
It's a massive drop, of course, from what we saw in September. That number was also revised lower, down to 223,000 jobs. In fact, what we lost was over 110,000 jobs over August and September.
We have 100,000 fewer jobs than we thought we had. That's a really bad number.
So we just lost 100,000 jobs. And Joe's in Pennsylvania reminding everybody about Bidenomics. Democrats can make jobs disappear, but they can't make Biden disappear. Here was Trump reacting to the news in Michigan.
This is the lowest number in years, a pitiful 12,000 jobs last month. Whoa. Hundreds of thousands of jobs less than what it should be. I never heard of 12,000 jobs. That's not even believable. And if she gets 4 more years, your family is never going to, you're never going to recover from these stupid people. There'll be a 1929 style economic depression that will absolutely crush your incomes and all that stuff. But we're not going to talk about that because we want to make sure we win. And when we win, you are 4 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen.
So the Biden economy looks like a mirage, and Kamala still can't give us a concise answer of what she's going to do if she wins.
Day one, what's your first executive action?
Well, my first priority, which will be probably the package of bills, is about bringing down the cost of living. So it's about housing. It's about childcare. It's about what we need to do to deal with grocery prices. So it's not one, but it's a package.
So why do they even keep asking her what she's going to do on day one? Day one was 4 years ago. She could knock on Joe's door right now and say, hey, big guy, sign this executive order. I'm going to just slip it under your door. I know they took your phone, but there's a pen in there somewhere. Why should Americans wait until Inauguration Day for help when Kamala's in power now? Why can't she get a head start on the things she's promising? This election's gotten so ridiculous, they made J-Lo cry.
I promised myself I wouldn't get emotional, but you know what? You know what? We should be emotional. We should be upset. We should be scared and outraged.
Luckily, Trump will protect J-Lo, whether she likes it or not. But why can't Kamala Harris get emotional about America like J-Lo? This country's been through a lot the last 4 years. How is it that Harris is never upset by any of it? She just laughs along like nothing's wrong. And are Democrats running out of celebrities? Hollywood must be empty at this point. What, is David Hasselhoff going to come out with a white dude for Harris hat? Trump's putting on aprons, garbage vests, campaigning with blacks, Hispanics, whites, Muslims, carving up the Obama-Biden coalition like a jack-o'-lantern. What's Kamala been up to? Just calling everyone Nazis.
How about her? She's always talking about, no, I want to bring the country together. Trump is Hitler. Excuse me, I shouldn't have said that. No, she's always saying, I want to go on peace, and we want to get together as a country. And, you know, the Trump people are garbage, total garbage. Oh. But we want to get together. And Trump is Hitler, and they're all racist, and they're all this, and they're all that. But we want to have peace, so we want to get along. I don't even know if she knows what the hell she's saying.
This election is about whether the Democratic machine can kill off the incumbent and drag an unpopular, untalented replacement over the finish line. That's what it is. How close is this thing going to be? Trump's exactly right. She doesn't know what she's talking about. That's why she's their nominee. They like it that way. Do you?
Welcome to Hannity this Friday night, and we start tonight with a Fox News alert. At this hour, we are monitoring a massive Trump rally tonight in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the former president will soon take to the stage, and we will bring you his remarks live as they happen. But first, another day, another desperate hoax from the Harris campaign and their allies in the state-run media mob. They know of no shame. If you watch fake news CNN, MSDNC, the 3 major networks, or read the headlines on Google, or any other wing of the state-run media mob, you might think that Donald Trump called for Liz Cheney to be shot and killed. It's not true. For example, here's the awful AP quote. Harris assails Trump for saying Liz Cheney should have rifles shooting at her. It is not only misleading, it is completely false, and yet another outright lie. A big lie designed to smear, slander, besmirch Donald Trump. Let's listen to what Donald Trump actually said in its full context, and you will understand it.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
So Donald Trump, frankly, rightly accusing Cheney of being a war hawk. And from the comfort and safety of the United States without ever having to fight a war, but they'll send your sons and daughters to fight a war they're all jacked up to fight, only to politicize the war, only to leave, and having failed in their mission. How often has that happened in Washington? The hysteria on the left, all of it is phony, fake, and fraudulent. But this sums up the entire far-left, extreme, radical Democratic Party. It sums up the entire Harris campaign and their propagandists and the state-run media mob. It is all built on one big lie after another. They have been lying to you for almost 10 years. This is what Trump has had to go through for almost 10 years. They accused Donald Trump putting the Capitol complex at risk on January 6th, despite the president's request for National Guard protection 3 days prior and the request of the Capitol Police Chief and others, 5 witnesses confirming that Donald Trump did, in fact, offer 10,000-plus National Guard troops. The Washington, D.C. Mayor, Muriel Bowser, she said no in a formal letter, in writing, denying Donald Trump's request. Nancy Pelosi, on tape, taking responsibility. I should have taken it more seriously for the security breakdown, which would be her job. The left's entire narrative about that day is one big lie. Of course, they ignore Kamala Harris and the bail fund. We'll get to that in a second. Then, of course, Russia, Russia, Russia. Another huge, big lie. The left-wing, radical leftist Democrats and the state-run media mob, 3 long years of nothing but lies and phony conspiracy theories peddled by the Democrats and the media to you, to all of you, to all of us. The Ukrainian quid pro quo, another big lie, as they ignored the likely quid pro quo. That would be with Joe Biden. Now, both impeachment, they were built on big lies. The claim that Trump was going to cause World War III, no, another big lie. The Hunter Biden laptop story is likely Russian disinformation. Another big lie perpetrated by Biden and led by Winkin' Tony Blinken, getting 51 former intel officials that knew nothing about the laptop to lie to the American people, to give him a talking point for a debate. And 30+% of Americans said they would have voted differently had they known it was real. And big tech suppressing it all. And as usual, a repulsively, abusively biased, corrupt media, they went along with the lie. Inflation is transitory. That was another big lie. The Inflation Reduction Act is going to reduce inflation. No, another lie. And by the way, if you're interested, the economy is still a nightmare. We have the latest numbers, as usual, horrific. The border is secure. The border is closed. That was a big lie for 3 years from Kamala and Joe and Mayorkas. Kamala's own surrogate, Bill Clinton, he actually admitted campaigning for Kamala. Laken Riley, I talked to her family, lovely people. She would likely still be alive today had her killer been vetted. And meanwhile, it was a big lie to tout a border security bill from day one, when in reality, that was never a border security bill. It was an amnesty bill that allowed nearly 2 million illegal immigrants in a year unvetted also. It was not a border security bill. It was an amnesty bill. It was a big lie that Trump will wage lawfare against his political opponents. Instead, that is exactly what has been done to him by a weaponized Department of Justice under the Biden-Harris administration. The entire Harris agenda is also a big lie. It's a big lie that she won't ban fracking and offshore drilling. She has stated over and over again she will do this. It's a big lie she won't try to limit the Second Amendment. Repeatedly, in her own words, she has said she wants a mandatory gun buyback program. Where I grew up, we'd call that gun confiscation. It's a big lie that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are big gun people. Really? Tim Walz could barely even load his own shotgun during a pheasant hunt campaign stunt a few weeks ago. It's a big lie Kamala won't try to eliminate the filibuster to pass the $93 trillion Green New Deal that would eliminate capitalism as we know it. Now, how do I know that? Because she co-sponsored the bill in the U.S. Senate with Bernie Sanders and said she would eliminate the filibuster to pass it. It's a big lie that Kamala won't raise taxes on everyone. That's a joke. She lies when she says Trump will raise taxes. That's a lie, too. It's a lie that Kamala will even try to bring down prices. And it's a big lie that she won't eliminate private health care plans, because she stated it emphatically when she supported the Government Health Care for All Act with the elimination of private health insurance. It's a big lie Kamala will magically secure the border as president, like it was a lie when she blames Trump for the border disaster that she herself, as the border czar, created. It's a big lie that Kamala is a law and order candidate. Really? Seriously? Take a look at the bail fund she supported. Remember that? 4 days, the 574 riots, summer of 2020. 4 days after a Minneapolis police precinct burned to the ground, she sends out a bail fund tweet. At the time, she goes on CBS and tells that hard-hitting newsman, Steve Colbert, that the rioters, take note, beware. The rioters are not going to stop, and they shouldn't stop. And she's not going to stop supporting them. I think if Liz Cheney were intellectually honest, she would call that an insurrection, especially if Donald Trump said it. Kamala's so-called closing argument at the Ellipse in Washington, it was filled with so many lies it would take up the rest of the show, claiming Trump wants a national abortion ban. He has said over and over just the opposite, a complete lie. Kamala claiming he would ban IVF. That was also a lie, claiming he would limit access to contraception. She's just making it up as she goes along, trying to scare women. She claimed that he would monitor women's pregnancies. What is she even talking about? A disgusting, despicable, outright repulsive lie, often regurgitated by the state-run media mob. She claimed Trump supports Project 2025. Trump has said over and over again he has no idea what it is and won't support it. She blamed inflation on price gauging or gouging at grocery stores. That, too, is a lie. Their profit margin's 1.6%. Good luck with that. She blamed Trump for not securing the border. Another massive lie. It was a really big lie when Kamala said she wants to unite the country. Really? You're not going to unite the country by constantly lying, smearing, slandering the other side. Her and her surrogates have continually referred to Donald Trump, Republicans, their supporters, as Nazis, and he's not, and we're not Nazis. Donald Trump is not a fascist, and African-American men don't need lectures from a guy that lives in a multi-million-dollar mansion in Martha's Vineyard about them being misogynistic and sexist if, quote, the brothers don't vote for Kamala Harris, and Stacey Abrams telling African-American men that they're racist and sexist. Really? And you want them to listen to you? And Donald Trump supporters, by the way, we're not garbage. We're not trash. Everything they are now saying are not just lies, but they're big lies. The American people are not happy about it, and they shouldn't be. Take a look.
Hey, would you stand up if you're wearing a safety vest? If you're wearing a safety vest this morning, there you go.
There you go.
Orange.
All right. We can see him a mile off.
I know someone in South Carolina that sent me a picture of them dressed up yesterday, and it's the safety vest pushing the green, what we call a Herbie Kirby, the green garbage can, and a Trump hat. And now we need to add a name tag that says, "Hello, my name is garbage."
And by the way, they were chanting,
Right.
"We are trash." That's the first time in America I've never heard that chant has ever. That will not be replicated at any other point.
You got to laugh. They're chanting, "We're not trash." No, we're not. And we can have a sense of humor about it, but there's too much at stake, isn't there? This is for this country, a pivotal election. It is literally a tipping point, as we call it. And the divisive rhetoric on the left is worse than ever. We always got every 2-4 years racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, transphobic. They want dirty air, water, and want to steal grandma and grandpa's Social Security and Medicare. Oh, she's even telling that lie. 3 days before someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump in Butler, PA, Joe Biden called on his supporters to put a bullseye on the former president. Did the media mob, did they express their outrage about a real, clear threat by the president that calls the American people garbage? Kamala Harris told a bad joke about killing Trump, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Look at some of the violent rhetoric used against Trump by the radical extreme left over the years. And for the record, I could spend the rest of the hour playing it, but this is a small sample.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
That man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
The donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, "Oh well, don't worry, this will all work itself out." They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living. However, it's been a while. And maybe it's time.
How dare he say the things he does? Of course I want to punch him in the face.
Right. Press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
And with this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
I could keep playing this all night. Kamala Harris, her campaign surrogates, the state-run media mob, they have zero fidelity to truth. Instead, they have an unyielding rage for Trump. They have contempt and hatred for his supporters. They have nothing but contempt for the American people. And right now, they are proven they will do and say anything to cling on to power. Zero fidelity to truth at this point. One huge, big lie after another.
All right. So before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them, so if they suck, we'll dress Joe Mackey as a baby and send him to meet Joe Biden.
Biden's vote.
Last night, Dr. Jill Biden dressed up as a panda for Halloween at an event at the White House. And as you can see, Joe dressed as his favorite character from The Walking Dead. But it makes sense for Jill to dress up like a panda. After all, she's owned by China and never has sex. Joe loved her costume, saying he always wanted a Dalmatian as a child. This Halloween weekend, the University of Michigan is hosting a lesbian haunted house. Oh, God. So what makes a lesbian haunted house? Well, for one, they keep the lights on. A new study shows there's not enough time in the universe for a team of monkeys to eventually type the works of Shakespeare. But for a few bananas and a pot of coffee, you'll get a Kill Meat book by Wednesday. Mark Cuban claimed there are no strong, intelligent women around Trump. Well, I guess you could say the same thing about Doug Emhoff. A group supporting Kamala released an ad targeting women voters married to Trump-supporting husbands that said, "No one's going to find out, I promise." Funny, those are the same words Doug said to the nanny. A Russian court ruled that Google owes the country's media stations $20 decillion in fines for blocking their content. Wow. Usually to see that many zeros, you'd have to go to a meeting of Todd Pyro's fan club. The New York City Marathon will take place this weekend. It's the only race where the starter's pistol is fired in self-defense. Yeah.
Sad but true.
After 16 years, Andrea Mitchell says she's ending her daytime MSNBC show. She says she wants to spend more time being embalmed. This is the weekend. We're supposed to set our clocks back an hour, huh? This is how it works. You gain an hour this weekend, and then you lose an hour when you watch this. Joy Behar is in trouble with her bosses at ABC News for asking co-host Sarah Haynes about a same-sex dalliance in college. What hypocrisy, Joy telling a woman to watch what they eat. Barack Obama recently told People magazine about advances that women made on him while he was president. Come on, ladies, you're barking up the wrong tree. He's married.
That's it.
A tech company has developed a camera that attaches to your toilet and photographs your bowel movements. It's for people who don't have the stomach to watch Fox and Friends.
We're just getting our CNN Plus on right now.
Yeah, this week, the Radio City Rockettes welcomed animals for the Christmas Spectacular, including camels, donkeys, and sheep. Or as some New Yorkers call them, delicious. Finally, in London, someone stole 22 metric tons of award-winning cheese. Did someone say cheese? Asked one man. Never fails. Never fails. All right, to the news. So there's promising news for garbage everywhere. Depending on which poll you look at, Trump is either tied or leading in key battleground states like Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and North Carolina, and he's gaining in Michigan. Meanwhile, Pennsylvania's a dead heat. But election maps are so red, they remind me of the rash I got from Larry Kudlow's waterbed. But even CNN can't ignore it.
Just 28% of Americans, voters, think the country is going in the right direction. There isn't a single time in which 28% of the American public thinks the country is going on the right track in which the incumbent party actually won. They always lose when just 28% of the country believes that the country is on the right track. If Republicans win, come next week, Donald Trump comes next week, the signs all along will have been obvious. We would look at the right direction being very low, Joe Biden's approval rating being very low, and Republicans really registering numbers. You can't say you weren't warned.
You can't say you weren't warned. Something I often say when the doctor checks my prostate. Suffice to say, it's looking pretty good for Trump and the GOP. They have more wind at their back than Joe Biden after a whole box of Fiber One. Fart joke. I love a fart joke. Applause for farting. And that means the mainstream media is now more terrified than Tim Waltz at a DUI checkpoint. The more they attack Trump, the more everybody hates them and not him. The more they try to destroy him, the more they destroy their own reputations. But now, according to New York Magazine, a few news executives are starting to face reality. One anonymous suit said, quote, the left-wing attempt to deplatform Trump after the 2020 election was the single biggest mistake because it forced him to create his own alternative reality ecosystem, and it only accelerated our own irrelevance. True, they chose instead to alienate half the country, having nothing in common with the people that they claim to cover. The last time they saw the inside of a pickup truck, Nancy Pelosi was still on her original eyebrows. Another insider said if half the country has decided that Trump is qualified to be president, that means they're not reading any of this media, and we've lost this audience completely. A Trump victory means mainstream media is dead in its current form. Now, is that supposed to be a reason not to vote Trump? Hell, I was already going to vote for him just to keep Keith Olbermann out of women's bathrooms, but this is a way better reason. It's nice that they're starting to see the problem that they created for themselves, but the reaction to a possible Trump win is only selfish. They're not saying, maybe we should change how we do things. It's more like, crap, what does this mean for our careers? They'll likely triple down and start calling Trump Hitler, Stalin, Kilmeade. But if Trump wins, they assume they screwed up. But if Kamala wins, they won't. So by their own admission, they're copying to choosing the wrong side instead of admitting to the failure of choosing a side to begin with. Even if Harris were to win, they still won't admit to their professional corruption. And if Donald wins, their only change won't be to rethink the bias of their cloistered bubble, but actually lean into advocacy even more. The original premise of their industry was to show people the world. Now it's to show the world who they are. Rather than reflect reality, they reflect their terminal arrogance. And so their reputations are worse than P. Diddy's, but they still keep applying the baby oil. It's like the news is a zombie that doesn't know it's dead, but still walking around trying to do the same things over and over. No wonder they protected Biden and now Kamala. They thought they were one of them, all in search of brains. All right. Todd, it's always okay to see you.
Fair.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
All the bland words.
Yeah. You know, do you honestly think, okay, if Trump wins, that there will actually be any reflection on the media for what they've done, or will they just simply triple down?
No, they'll triple down. This article was the reflection, but what was so asinine about this article, they blame Trump for the actions that they took that is going to lead to their extinction. The plan would have been simple, and they would still be alive and have a future if they just followed, to your point, what their marching orders were at the outset. Provide unbiased facts, let the audience decide, but instead, they got TDS. They got Trump derangement syndrome, and their entire focus was on getting Trump, and they threw facts to the side. That's why they're going extinct. You watch Fox. Even Trump gets mad at Fox sometimes for putting Democrats on. Why do we do that? Because we need to present both sides of the issue that the other networks don't. That's why we're relevant. They're not.
That's actually a really good point, and I'm surprised it came from you.
Understood. Thank you.
People get all crazy when, like, why is this person on the 5?
Right.
Why is it? But you have to understand that it makes your arguments better. If you are, you can't have a Bond movie without a Bond villain. You know, then you just have some guy in a tuxedo masturbating. But wait,
what movie did you watch?
That wasn't a Bond movie. But my point is, what was my point? No. My point.
It was his Wednesday night.
My point is, the difference between Fox and, say, MSNBC is that we know what the other people are thinking because we have those people here. So we don't get surprised. We actually understand that there's another world out there. They don't. Therefore, they are suddenly
They'll be like, here's a Republican, Liz Cheney.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. They have fake Republicans. What do you make of the fact that they might be realizing they're irrelevant?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why you see people like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos refusing to endorse Kamala Harris when normally in ordinary times, they would have been so quick to endorse the Democratic nominee. I think they're realizing right now they don't want to be on the wrong side of history. A lot of people are realizing that because right now we are seeing the mainstream media take us down a very deranged, dark path. Even Kamala Harris has said it so many times. Her favorite line is, we need to turn the page on the last 3.5 years, not realizing she's actually telling people they need to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't want to get to an ultra optimistic situation like too soon. Everyone still needs to go out and vote. It is so important. But I just keep thinking of the best case scenario. I definitely see Trump finishing out his term. I would love to see J.D. Vance having his time in the sun. I would love to see Barron Trump even further the legacy. I'm going go big or go home, right?
Yeah, wow, you're going away.
Apparently there's a lot of women at NYU who want to date Barron Trump now. Even their moms are calling saying, this is the boy you need to, make it happen with.
Settle down.
I think a lot of elites, though, are seeing the same thing. And they're starting to hedge, right?
Yeah.
Somebody get Greg a tuxedo.
Every time I wear a tuxedo, penguins try to rape me. Kat, this whole thing, I actually was a good point in the New York issue about when they deplatformed Trump. It pushed him to create his own ecosystem, and now they're ruining that day. There's actually a pretty good point there, but what do you say?
Yeah, because the more he talks, then there was the more chance of them to have to find things to latch on to, where he said this and da-da-da. Look, I mean, I feel like everybody's pretty confident right now that Trump's going to win. I do think he will, but also it's possible he wouldn't because men don't vote.
Yeah, it's a good, yeah.
But they don't. Men, overwhelmingly more women generally actually go out there and vote than men do.
It scares me because I hear that about Pennsylvania, and it's like, dudes, you got to get out there, man.
Maybe they will. Maybe I don't know. But it is interesting to see. I mean, even people are saying it. This, okay, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Which I don't think anybody would be, but. I mean, whether they actually go, answering a poll is one thing and going out and voting is another.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tyrus, make me feel comfortable about Tuesday.
It's not enough.
He's going to say it's not close.
I know.
Right?
No, it's not close. And the reason why is it's not even about Kamala. Mm-hmm. Kamala is just who they put up there. Mm-hmm. It is about the spitting in the face of the American way, and most importantly, the American man and the American family. Bud Light tried. We saw what happened. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the people who made videos and complained. It was the people who says, we're not buying your product anymore. This is an American movement because we've said enough. And President Trump is benefiting from that, not from his warm personality, but the fact that he was saying, I'm hearing you, you want policies, you want things fixed, I'm willing to do that. They're like, we're gonna listen to you. The other side doesn't say anything because they're convinced the American people are dumb. We don't know what's good for us. That's why they can put someone like Kamala forth who cannot put a sentence together that makes sense to any voter. So this isn't even about her. And this is a put the foot on the neck moment to where the American people are going to be heard so loud that they'll be like, the next time you decide to run the government yourself, we will not be there. Because that's what this is really about. Joe Biden was not running this country. You spit in the intelligence of the American people. That's what this is about. But here's the thing. No matter what happens on Tuesday, there are still worse things that you could hear besides your person not getting in.
Yeah.
Roll it.
Nothing else worse can happen, Mom.
We're going to be okay.
Yeah. That's me. That's me as Janelle from 16 and Pregnant.
Oh, man, my guy didn't get in the White House, and then I get a phone call. Hey, Dad, nothing else worse can happen. There's always something worse.
All right. We must move on.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.